Okay, let's unpack this today. We're taking a deep dive into a philosophy that, well, it pulls absolutely no punches when it comes to competition and conflict. We're dissecting some really intense source material, excerpts from Total Annihilation of Rivals. Quite a title. And our mission for you listening is to really try and understand the uncompromising logic behind this advice and, what it implies about preventing future threats, stopping them before they even materialize.
It's a fascinating perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very direct, very strategic, and it immediately highlights this idea of prevention. It's not just about winning now.
Right. Not just the immediate win, it goes deeper.
It's about stopping future conflict altogether, from that specific rival anyway. That's a key nuance we need to explore. It really makes you think about the risks if you do anything less.
Yeah, and the source truly doesn't mince words. This is where it gets really interesting. It gives us this primary directive, an axiom that just jumps right out. Crush your enemy totally.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredibly strong language.
It really is. Leaves no room for ambiguity, does it? It's like a direct order.
Not just defeat, but obliterate.
Exactly. But what does totally actually mean here in this context? It feels like more than just, winning the battle and going home.
That's spot on. And that's where the source's strategic rationale really comes into focus. When it says, crush your enemy totally, it's not just about using overwhelming force in the moment. The advice that comes right with it clarifies the why. It says, if you must deal with a rival, don't leave them space to strike back later.
Okay. So that second part is key.
It's the absolute linchpin. It defines the depth, the breadth of what totally means strategically here. It's not about a quick win. It's about securing a future where that rival is just gone, no longer a factor, unable to retaliate or come back.
So let's think about that for our listener. What does crushing totally really involve if you combine it with don't leave them space? Beyond just, say, winning a business deal or a political fight, what things, what opportunities does the source suggest need cutting off to make sure that victory actually lasts?
Well, it implies something far more comprehensive than you might first think. That core idea, don't leave them space to strike back later, it's all rooted in a cold, hard strategic calculation. The source isn't really advocating cruelty just for kicks. It's about ensuring the conflict is truly, definitively over.
Finished.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The philosophy suggests that any lingering capacity for that rival doesn't matter how small or insignificant it seems.
Becomes a potential future threat.
Precisely. And think about what space to strike back really covers. It could be tangible things, right? Resources, money, supply lines, key people, assets.
Yeah, obvious stuff.
But it's also the intangible, their influence, their reputation, political connections, their ability to rally support, even just their underlying capability and sort of the will to rebuild their power. The advice is basically find all those avenues and shut them down, systematically.
So this really raises a crucial question, which the source seems to answer implicitly. What are the actual costs of a partial victory, according to this way of thinking?
Well, the implication is pretty clear. A partial victory isn't really a victory at all. If it just kicks the can down the road, or worse, guarantees another conflict later, maybe even a bigger one,
Right.
then what was the point?
Right. It suggests that maybe you've just made things worse in the long run.
And the source really hammers home the dangers of not following this rule. It paints a pretty stark picture. Any lingering capacity for a rival to act, any small opening left, it automatically becomes a future threat.
It's almost like a warning, isn't it? Like, watch out, don't leave even the tiniest crack.
Because that's not just where the next problem might come from, but where it will come from.
Yes. The source is really explicit in that warning. Don't allow any opening for retaliation. It frames it as almost a certainty if you don't take total action.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder. An unfinished conflict is just, well, a dormant one.
Right.
Waiting. Exactly. And that really deepens our understanding of the preventative side of this advice. The goal isn't just winning the current fight, whether that's in business, politics, whatever rivalry you can think of. It's about completely neutralizing the long-term threat from that specific rival.
So achieving a kind of lasting peace, or at least no more trouble from them.
Achieved through what the source implies is absolute preemption. Total preemption. We're talking about action so thorough that the rival literally cannot even conceive of, let alone execute a comeback.
Wow. That's comprehensive.
It's a proactive stance.
Yeah.
Making sure the future is secure against that specific point of friction.
Okay, so when we talk about absolute preemption like that, what does that mean for the strategist's mindset? It's clearly not just about overpowering someone in the moment. It seems like a whole different way of thinking about competition, about preventing things from happening again. What kind of strategic shifts are implied for someone who actually adopts this philosophy?
It demands a profoundly different strategic calculus, absolutely. An absolute preemption mindset isn't so much about reacting to what your rival does. It's more about preemptively taking apart their entire ability to operate.
Proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. It's not just about winning this round. It's about making sure there are no future rounds, at least not with this opponent. It requires meticulous foresight. You have to anticipate every possible way a rival might regroup or retaliate or regain strength somehow.
Which implies a lot of intelligence gathering, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. An intense focus on intelligence and analysis, not just what they can do now, but their underlying potential. What could they do? For instance, if a rival's strength is their innovation, well, crushing totally might mean disrupting their R&D.
Or poaching their talent, controlling their supplies.
Precisely. Or if their power stems from, say, a strong brand or public image, it would mean discrediting that narrative, eroding their customer base, whatever it takes. It's a truly comprehensive approach, systematically targeting the very foundations of their ability to compete or even resist.
It's like strategic chess, but with extremely high stakes and a very uncompromising view of the board. You're not just thinking one move ahead. You're thinking about the entire end game. And it forces you to analyze the fundamental factors that let a rival exist and be effective in the first place. Yeah, if you truly want to ensure they don't strike back, you have to dig deep, understand where their capabilities come from,
What makes them formidable?
and then dismantle it, piece by piece, from the ground up.
It's not a superficial response, not ad hoc. It's a deep, systemic approach to eliminating that specific threat.
And when the source talks about leaving no space, what does that cover?
It seems to be a recognition that vulnerabilities, however small they seem, can grow.
Yeah.
They can metastasize. Think about it. A small amount of leftover funds, a few loyal supporters keeping quiet, even just a compelling story that could be revived later.
All of that counts as space.
According to this philosophy, yes, all space that must be denied. So the strategists following this wouldn't just defeat an army. They'd make sure its supply lines are gone, its leadership structure broken beyond repair.
And its ability to recruit or inspire is completely undermined.
Exactly. It's about making a rival strategically irrelevant in the long term,
Yeah.
not just tactically beaten today.
So it boils down to complete incapacitation, not just a temporary setback for them. Which implies a different kind of vigilance is needed, right? Even after you think you've won decisively.
That vigilance is paramount, yes. A strategist guided by this total annihilation idea has to be inherently suspicious of any lingering potential.
Yeah.
It means constantly auditing the rival situation. Are there hidden assets somewhere? Any alliances that could be reactivated down the line?
Has their story, their narrative been so thoroughly dismantled it can't make a comeback?
Right. It extends way beyond the initial fight into a phase of deep, deep consolidation, making sure every potential path for a future strike is found and blocked.
It's a philosophy that really sees compromise very differently.
Completely. Compromise isn't a virtue here. It's a potential weakness. A fatal flaw, maybe. Any concession, any allowance for a rival to keep even a tiny bit of their old capacity or influence.
Is seen as planting the seeds for the next conflict.
That's the core logic. The source is crystal clear. The only truly safe position is one where the rival simply cannot threaten you, ever again. This isn't about achieving a balance of power. It's about creating an imbalance so profound that only one side remains truly capable of action in that arena.
Wow. Okay, this really brings home just how unyielding this strategic advice is. We've really dug into what crush your enemy totally means and why this source insists you should never leave them space to strike back later. It's an uncompromising directive, completely neutralize the rival to prevent any future retaliation. And it's built on this logic that anything less is basically inviting trouble back later.
And this perspective, it's stark, but it forces us to really consider the ultimate implications of dealing with rivals, and maybe the deep-seated fear that fuels it, the fear of an unresolved conflict, of something coming back to bite you. It's a strategy born from that idea that incomplete solutions just breed future problems. So it demands this comprehensive, absolute approach to securing your position.
Implying that true security, within this framework at least, only comes by removing the very capacity for a specific threat to exist, not just managing it.
Not just containing it, removing it.
So this whole deep dive into total annihilation of rivals, it really makes us ponder, doesn't it? If the goal is truly to leave absolutely no space, What does that mean for how we even define victory? Is victory just the absence of that specific rival? And how absolute can that be? Or maybe how absolute should it be in any context? Definitely something for you to think about as you navigate your own challenges and consider the real consequences of the strategies you might use.